The Gina Carano lawsuit is really becoming kind of interesting because we have potential witnesses called into this lawsuit that is going to make all this procedure really crazy. And I think Disney at the end will just end up buying her off or just giving her a bunch of money because it's just getting ridiculous. Especially now, I wanted to make this video on the heels of D23. Bob Iger not only talked about recently their entire schedule about Marvel, of course, more specifically, but they had also mentioned the movie coming in 2026 about Mandalorian and Grogu. So that is the next slated Star Wars movie coming. And guess what? The Mandalorian himself, Pedro Pascal, has been named in this lawsuit with Gina Carano. So I think they should better shape up things real fast because we've talked recently, and we're going to talk later again, about how she wanted to come back for The Mandalorian as Cara Dune. Gina Carano wants to be back. In this lawsuit, by the way, there's a lot of key witnesses, including Pedro Pascal, as we said, Jon Favreau, the co-creator of The Mandalorian, Bob Chapek, who actually was involved in the firing, the ex-Disney CEO, and even, believe it or not, Kathleen Kennedy is mentioned as a key witness. So there's a lot of things at play here that I think Disney should really take care of, especially when it comes to Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy. I think, in my opinion, it's just going to end up as I saw in D23. They're really focused on bringing back Marvel into the fold because Marvel has been faltering at this point. Deadpool and Wolverine has brought it back, but Star Wars is definitely bad. Star Wars is definitely reeling without a doubt, especially the movies. The series, not so much. They have a handle on that, especially at the animated version. But when it comes to other aspects of Star Wars, they need to fix this lawsuit quick so that they can focus on removing the Cara Dune character completely and just focus on The Mandalorian and Grogu. Well, it seems that things are not smooth sailing for Dave Filoni with The Mandalorian and Grogu movie. While still being a couple of years away at least, we know that these dates are almost constantly shuffled around. We expected more of a soft landing with Mandalorian and Grogu. I mean, how much troublesome could this movie actually be? Well, it seems to have started pretty rough with the Gina Carano lawsuit. Earlier this week, we found out that a judge did not throw out the case. And what does this mean for Dave Filoni and for this future movie? We know exactly that Gina Carano was, of course, hired to play Cara Dune in The Mandalorian, and she did for a couple of seasons there, but she was nowhere to be found anymore after the finale, after season 2. In fact, after Luke Skywalker made his first cameo in Mandalorian, that was that great finale that ended season 2. She was on the bridge and that was it. We never heard from her again. Season 3 came out, the Book of Boba Fett. The wipeout had already begun. Disney started disassociating from her. She got the complete silent treatment and was never mentioned again. This came after a number of controversial posts, and there's a lot of stuff that happened, especially with Twitter. But whatever the case, we then know that she filed a lawsuit for wrongful termination. Later, even Elon Musk came on board and started saying that he will fund her lawsuit because it was the right thing to do. So Disney attempted to get this lawsuit thrown out and dismissed by a California-based judge, thinking that since this lawsuit was California-based, it would get thrown out because Disney had the right to do so. Well, last week things took a wrong turn. In this official statement, the judge concluded that there is no evidence Disney would employ actors for the purpose of promoting the values of respect, decency, integrity, and inclusion. These were the things that Disney cited should be the reason why the termination was rightful and that this lawsuit should be thrown away, meaning that Gina Carano's lawsuit has some merit. What's even more is that the judge said this indicated Disney intended to fire Carano to distract from problems with the then CEO Bob Chapek's management. As you remember, Bob Iger did step down a couple of years ago, and another CEO took over Bob Chapek, and he then was subsequently let go. It was just a mishmash of nothing, but Gina Carano did pay the price. She was fired, and now the judge doesn't only see this firing as wrongful, but she in fact correlates it with troubling management from the inside. So what does this mean for Dave Filoni and this new movie that he is making, Mandalorian and and Grogu. I hope they change that title. It kind of sounds goofy. But hey, with Deadpool and Wolverine, perhaps, the marketing could work. But what does this mean for the movie that Dave Filoni is helming? What you need to know are the details. So Gina Carano is claiming wrongful discharge, and she is seeking at least $35,000 in punitive damages and is hoping a court order could force Lucasfilm to recast her, bring her back into the fold. Gina Carano insists that she is still willing to work in Star Wars. With that being said, if Gina Carano wants to come back to Star Wars and a judge actually confirms that she has the right to do so and Disney does need to bring her back for wrongful termination, what does this mean for the movie? Now Dave Filoni needs to completely reinvent that character, bring it back into the Mandalorian movie, which of course it would exist. Cara Dune would be in this universe and would fit perfectly, but the story was just written without her in mind. So does this mean that the movie has already garnered some problems, some unnecessary problems with just because Disney got involved and got Lucasfilm to fire her? Even Kathleen Kennedy could be intertwined in this as well. So it's very muddled right now, and it seems that Dave Filoni in the future should keep in mind that Cara Dune might be coming back. The thing about it is that at this point, since Gina Carano wants so badly to come back to Star Wars, perhaps they could make it work, or perhaps they could just settle this completely out of court. This is entirely, I think, in Gina Carano's hands. Remember, the judge only established that there is indeed a case to go to court. Disney wanted to throw out the case. The judge filed that it is going to court. But it does not mean that Gina Carano won the case. In the courts, she could still lose. Who knows? But if they settle outside of court, Gina Carano could have specified in there that the only way to settle this is if she comes back into The Mandalorian. This is the only way, I think, for her to be back in Star Wars and for Dave Filoni to just reshuffle the script somehow to bring back this character, to bring back Cara Dune to help out The Mandalorian. And she could even fill the role of Carl Weathers with the Magistrate. Carl Weathers is dead, so he won't be making a reprise role in The Mandalorian movie. And they could just make it that Cara Dune somehow got promoted, and now she came back from a space battle out there somewhere in the Outer Rim, and she came back to fill in the role of Magistrate. It could happen. It's still possible. But at the end of the day, I think that if Gina Carano settles outside of court, she will settle for a monetary price probably and not for a role. But that would be just legendary, forcing Disney to get in court and settle with you to bring you back in Star Wars. This case already is making Hollywood history, with reprimanding companies like Disney, warning them actors are not contractually obligated to represent their values. If she actually comes back into The Mandalorian, it changes the entire landscape. I think that this case will be very popular as the months go on and the next year and through 2025. So let me know, what do you guys think down below?